That's a good.
Hey guys, John Di Lemme here, the founder of Conservative Business Journal and the host of the CBJ Real News Podcast Show. And I'm so excited to bring back by Papa Demand 2 Mama Bears. We love Emily out of Iowa. You talk about action. These ladies love the country, love the family. They love their producer, John, who's awesome behind the scenes. We love John Papa Bear. Kimberly and Emily, I'm so excited to have you guys back on the Conservative Business Journal, CBJ Real News Podcast Show, because you're all about conserving, you're about protecting. You guys got some action in your county, in Iowa, which is very powerful. So we're going to unpack that. And welcome, ladies. We're so proud to have you back.
Thank you so much. It's great to be with you.
It's an honor to be back on.
We love you, ladies, and kind of just give a quick recap of how you guys hit the national scene when you made a decision. Mama Bears, they started to mess with your cub. They started to mess with your cub wearing a mask, and you made that decision. And then we'll go into how you flipped six seats, and you are red for the first time in your county, which this is what it's all about, guys. This is action. This is conserving and protecting. So kind of give them kind of a summary of AKA Kimberly and Emily, also known as Iowa Mama Bears.
Well, God's hand is all over it, because Oklahoma, we weren't even supposed to be there. That was the very first Health and Freedom Conference with Clay Clark and General Flynn. And we were like everyone else, just excited to get down there and learn the truth about how to get these masks off of our kids, talk to doctors who were telling the truth about the harms of them, because we were evidence that they were harming children. Our daughters were mask abused, mask injured, and all we wanted to do was go down there and find like-minded patriots and doctors to help us and just tell us what the next step is. And we did. We were able to talk to Kathy Meehan, Dr. Jim Meehan's wife. In fact, she was the first booth that I ran into. And I told her our stories, Olivia's story, Evie's story, and she was moved with compassion. And she said, that's exactly what my husband deals with. And you're 100% right. These are harming your children. We'd love you to meet him. Please stand down here by the stage. He's going to speak in a little bit. And I told Kimberly, I'm like, we're going to stand down here by the stage. She's like, okay. So we stood down there, and Dr. Jim Meehan, he was speaking, and selflessly, only after a few minutes, said, these two moms here have a story to tell. And we looked at each other, and I'm like, I think he's talking about us. And so we went up on the stage impromptu, and we poured out our hearts and told what happened to our daughters before 4,500 people in attendance and millions all over the world watching. And after that, John, we got tens of thousands of responses and communications with parents just like us, whose children were injured and abused by these masks. And that is what motivated us to go forward. We knew that God had given us this platform, in a sense, and is going to use this suffering for good. And he's going to use what they intended for evil for good. And he did, because less than a month later, we were able to get a law passed in Iowa banning the mask mandates in the public school system for all of our state.
That's powerful. So take us back to the story. I know your little cub broke out with all of the sores in her mouth, and kind of tell them all the story on how you start to notice her wearing a mask. And then guys, make sure you watch the first episode with the Mama Bears. You could find that on our website, conservativebusinessjournal.com, under podcast, under it's alphabetical order. You go right down. It's library of episodes. You'll see M for Mama Bears. We had a well over an hour, about a 75-minute show, really unpacking the initial story, which could kind of give us a synopsis. So you notice your daughter wearing a mask and breaking out and all the disease, everything going on.
Yeah. So it was my little girl. She was 5 at the time. Last year was her first year at school. She started kindergarten. She was excited to go. It broke my heart to send my kids to school with masks on. But unfortunately, all my kids were excited to go back because of the year before, how we got cut off. And Olivia especially was super excited because she get to go to big school. So it was big school for her this year. And she was like, Mom, I'm going to go to big school. I'm like, yep. And so when we went to school, we had the mask mandates. At first, it was like kind of whatever you wanted to wear. So we did the gaiter, which is super thin, and it didn't seem to bother her as much. She did start getting a little bit of a rash around her face, and I think it was just because like the moisture sitting there. But then shortly after that, the governor came out and said we had to wear 2-ply mask on our kids. So when we were forced to wear 2-ply mask on our kids, I was like, okay. So I bought each of my kid a mask for one mask for every day of the week. And of course we switched out. That's when I started seeing Olivia's rash getting a little worse. It started breaking out on the side of her cheeks and then around her mouth. And I thought maybe it's because she's licking it or she's putting it down somewhere and picking it back up, whatever it may be. So I took her to the doctor for the first time in October. And when we did that, the doctor's like, hey, here's some topical medicine. Try to keep it as dry and as open as you possibly can. I was like, okay. She's in school 8 hours. So they gave us another type of mask, like a moisture wickening mask that we had to change. So the school was actually supposed to change her mask 2 to 3 times a day and help remind her to do that. I sent a whole box with her to school. It was in the nurse's office. So whether or not they really did that, I can't say because I wasn't there. But by Olivia's reaction to it, I'm going to say they didn't really do a lot because her infection then turned into infantigo and then turned into staph infection. And that happened 4 different occasions in a 2-month period, 2.5-month period, to the point where the doctors finally said, you know what, Kim, she's got staph on her face. If we do not take these masks off, we're afraid that infection is going to get into her lungs and cause her more problems than COVID ever has or ever will.
Well, so let's repack, Kim. Let's unpack this. This is very important. This is because we're in a war in America. We're in an active war in America right now.
Yes, we are.
And this is very important. I want you I want to go back a minute or two there. And so she had staph and what's the name of the other how do you say it?
She had infantigo. So she had a face rash first. So that's what made it had like micro, what are they called?
Like lesions?
Like micro lesions. Yeah. Because of the sores, because of the little rashes that she had. If you go to iowamamabears.com, we also have our story on there with the actual pictures that you can see of her face. Like her face started blistering up because of these masks. So then the first initial rash then turned into infantigo. So that's the secondary infection she got, was the infantigo. Infantigo then got so bad that it turned into staph infection. So that's how the order of it went. And then people will say to me, oh, it's not possible, or I didn't wash her clothes or her mouth or whatever. And I'm just like, you know what, guys, if you look at any doctor, we even had a study here in Iowa that a doctor at Broadlawn said, yes, staph infection can happen in kids. It can happen in masks. And that's exactly what happened to my little Olivia. And she was going to get sick. She was on 3 topical antibiotics and 2 oral for over a month, just trying to get this cleared up. And the only way we got it to clear up was taking off the mask. But unfortunately, by doing that, that's when the school segregated my daughter and she was forced then to sit by herself at lunch, at recess. She couldn't interact with her peers. She actually failed kindergarten because of how detrimental this was to her. We had to put her in counseling because she would come home crying and upset, saying, Mom, I don't want to be around you because I'm afraid that I'm going to give you COVID and you're going to die, because that's what the teachers and the students were telling my little girl because she couldn't wear the same mask as everybody else.
I mean, you talk about the false narrative, and everyone listening, that's why we appreciate you guys sharing these episodes. Make sure you share it on Rumble. Our Rumble channel is CBJ Real News. Telegram is CBJ Real News. We're streaming live right now. And obviously during the replay, share it. This is Real News. I mean, you guys, and they mess with your cub, right? Kimberly and Emily, they mess with your cub.
Yes, they did.
And
This is where Mama Bear comes from. And then a Mama Bear came out of you. And I actually have a quick picture to show because we have the picture there. I'll show it real quick. This is the awesome picture of the oops, I got to remove the little shell there. Sorry about that. Here it is.
Yep, that's us in Tulsa for the very first time.
Yep, I mean, unmask all children and take the mask off them and get the staph infection out of there. And then we also have I have a quick clip from your first show. I just want to show this so people can see it. It shows your daughter. I believe this is
the mask. The 2-ply mask started to give Olivia a rash around her face, and it happened several times that we try to get it cleared up, and it never got cleared up. When it eventually got worse, because it's constantly sitting on her face, constantly having the moisture and bacteria fester on her face, it turned into impetigo. Well, when you get impetigo, you have to let that air out. You have to let it breathe. You have to let it get fresh air, get out of the moisture. You can't have it in a warm place. You have to have it in a dry environment. You have to let it dry out. Well, it could never do that. And then it turned into staph infection.
Do you have the picture? Because I have a picture I'm going to show of your daughter. Do you have the picture with you there? The one of your daughter?
I do. I can pull it up on my phone real quick.
Because there it is right there. Okay, perfect. Okay, good. I was going to show. Okay. Oh, there we go. So show that right there. We go. That's it. That's God's children. Your cub. Wow. How I even stammer saying it. How young is she?
A little bit. She is 6, and as you can see, she had blisters all around her lips. So those were blisters from the staph and her rash.
So when you sorry about that. I gotta get here we go. Sorry about there we go. When you look at that and you say, I always say big problem, big up. That was a huge problem and love your children. Now look what that's done in your life. Everyone looks at problems. Like I've been teaching a lot, big problem, big opportunity. What even goes through your mind, even looking at that and seeing that again? We'll move into action, what you did in the county.
It seems like seeing the picture again of her being harmed kind of makes me angry, because so many people ignored us. So many people brushed us off. So many people said that it wasn't true. We were sending misinformation. And so, you know what? That's when Emily and I said, you know what? Enough is enough. And we started protesting in front of our school board.
Right.
And the very first time we protested on March 22nd, the very next day they retaliated against us using our kids. And that's why I filed a lawsuit suing the Ankeny school districts because of what they have done. What they did to
I just want to check. That's March 27th this year.
Yes.
Guys, pay attention. You talk about action. This is what this show was about, action. March 27th, 2021. This is now
22nd.
November 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually November 4th, 2020, which is my parents, ladies loved my parents' 71st wedding anniversary. We're married 71 years today.
Congratulations.
Happy anniversary.
My dad's watching. He's my mama's a mama bear watching. My dad is fired up and wound up, and this is why he loves kids. This is why we do what we do. He loves you ladies. He watched the last show. He's on tonight.
Oh, thank you.
But it's the foundation of America. You guys, in March of this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
And look where you're at now. I mean, look how God used this big problem for a big opportunity.
Right.
We sure did.
Yeah.
And the fact that our children were going through similar things, but my daughter's was more of a speech delay and an IEP issue. So she had a disability. And when I presented this information that in their addendum B in Ankeny, that children with disabilities and sensory processing issues should never be forced to wear a mask, they simply ignored me. And so all this talk about disabilities and children with disabilities should be able to be in an environment that's 100% protected and everyone should universally mask up. It is a lie. This is about money and this is about following the CC guidelines strictly so they can get this extra rescue money cash, because my daughter was suffering. She couldn't see anyone's lips, anyone's facial expressions. And now she has lost over a year and a half of learning. She is at like a 2nd grade level. She had never not passed her IEP goals ever until that last year. And I told them she was suffering. I told them that them putting her behind plexiglass. So what happened with Kimberly's daughter was on March 23rd. But what happened to my daughter was the minute that I turned in her religious exemption, they immediately placed Evie behind a 3-foot barrier plexiglass wall. And I said her.
And who's they? When you say they place
the
them,
school,
Ankeny
the school
schools.
and the administration.
Yeah,
They told me that Evie was not be allowed to be within 6 feet of any student or staff member. That includes her associate that is supposed to be accommodating her and helping her with her learning 50% of the day. She didn't have an associate, basically. So she was not able to reach any of her goals or learn.
Man, that's why you ladies, your mama bears stood up.
Yeah.
I wore mama bears. A little side note: my mother-in-law was in Gatlinburg, right? Because this past week, she was in Gatlinburg, and they were at this hotel, and a bear came through the parking lot, and she watched your show. She loves you ladies because she's a mama. If you went down and that bear is there in the parking lot, you mess with the bear's cubs, it's over. A bear will win. I mean, you ladies, look at what God has done in your life, and all of my listeners. And we just spoke to a wife of an LA cop that just called in. Chrissy just hung up with her. Because we're the real news. We don't back down. You know, we're now banned on YouTube for life. We're banned on Eventbrite for life. We're banned on TikTok for life. We're banned on LinkedIn for life. We're shadow banned on Instagram, shadow banned on Twitter, shadow banned on Facebook.
Of course.
We will not cower down from our calling on what we're there. This is a communist control of children.
Yes, it is.
It is.
And absolutely.
366 days ago, the election was stolen by China to do this to our children. And I just love the time frame. When everyone is you taking notes, March 2021, now you flip 6 seats in your county in Iowa because God said these ladies will protect their bear. So that problem of your daughters is now used for greatness. So kind of now let's move into how you start to see, you know what, you got active in local politics. Like General Flynn says, local action has national impact. And I appreciate you guys that on Real General Flynn chat. I shared this on Telegram right now, the live stream and the replay to Real General Flynn chat. Share this because and I say it's a big if, you know, if everyone locally would do what the Iowa Mama Bears just did, we would change this country. Pay very close attention.
You did. And you can't sit back and wait for somebody. As I said, you can't sit back and wait for somebody else to do it for you.
Right.
You have to be active. You have to be at those school board meetings. You have to be at the city council meetings. You have to be at the Capitol. You have to rally. You have to get out there and make your voice heard. Because if you don't, they're just going to push you aside. And that's what a lot of the surrounding counties here did. Like Ankeny, I believe, flipped red because we were outing everything they were doing. Because what they did to our kids was wrong. I mean, when we went up and we went to the school board meeting that first time and they retaliated against Olivia from December 7th until March 23rd, they never once put my child behind plexiglass. But on March 23rd, the day after we protested, they put my little girl behind the plexiglass wall, and that's the one and only time they did it. And that's because the principal, Miss Ryan at Northeast Elementary, flat out told me the reason they did it is because they thought she was protesting not wearing a mask at school. So therefore, she was going to be put behind plexiglass desk. And so that's when our fight started. And we said, you know what? We're going to start outing everything they do. And the best thing you can do that I can give you guys the best advice is document, record everything. Even in the state of Iowa, I just want to point out in the state of Iowa, it's a one-way conversation that you have to record. So if I'm sitting here talking to, say, Emily on the phone, all I have to do is push record, and it's held up in court because it's a one-way system that they have for court.
Let me interject for a second.
You don't have to have consent from the other party that's being recorded.
Yeah.
Now let's look at this. 1 year ago, did you have any idea what you're saying right now? Did you know all this just a year ago?
No, not at all.
Everyone pay attention. I mean, I feel like I'm at like a seminar teaching, like I'm speaking. Like everyone pay attention because we have to realize, and we talk about big problem, big opportunity. A great friend of mine is Professor Toto, Pastor Shane Vaughn. 1 year ago there was no Toto, and he's got Toto's Army now. And I say this for all of you. We started the Biden scam series. That's when I became a high value target. We had over 18 million views in literally last year at this time we go live. We had 58,000 people live on our show.
Wow.
But then he realized that the narrative is real news. Look what these ladies have done. And 1 year ago, they were just loving their cubs, and all of a sudden they messed with their cub and they became a mama bear. That moved into now these 6 seats. This is what America's about. I wrote it. It's one of the chapters of my book, why we started Conservative Business Journal. And one right here is to support, is so important, is to support fair and free elections.
Yeah.
I mean, you got now, so you activate. I mean, look how much you're spitting out, literally just letting it rip about how to document in a court, how to be actively involved in politics. Who would have thought just a year ago, both of you, you're best friends, and
yeah,
and I know from the last time when Kimberly was Emily was very persistent on calling Kimberly, right?
Yes, she was. I blew her off 5 times, and she's like, "We're just going to be friends."
I knew I needed a like-minded partner to go up against this evil. I mean, I saw it not only perpetuated on our children, but we're talking millions of children all over this country. That breaks God's heart. There's no way that we can sit back. I mean, silence in the face of evil is evil itself. God will not hold us guiltless. Like, that is my favorite quote ever from Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And he was alive during, 1930s, 1940s Germany. He saw it all. And we see a lot of similarities today. And that kind of evil, we have to draw a line.
Yeah.
So let's go back to, I got so excited. I just had to interject and make everybody realize, because you were listening to Kimberly and Emily think, oh, they've been in politics for like 10 years.
No, so politics was not my thing. My thing was actually vaccines. I was more of an activist in the vaccine thing because my children were vaccine injured. I have 7 children, 5 of which have had adverse reactions to the vaccines. So my last 2 babies, my 6th baby is almost 4. She'll be 4 in January, and I started when I was pregnant with her. So actually, I had no idea with politics. That was Emily's side. So Emily's better at politics, where I'm better at vaccines. So the 2 of us, when we came together, I told her when we first met, because that's how we met, is that I was talking about vaccines on the Ankeny Moms page, saying people are like, "Oh, school's coming up, go get your kids vaccinated." I'm like, "No, you don't have to do that."
And that's prior to this fiasco. It's not to do with COVID vaccine.
This is just, it had nothing to do, and this was way before COVID even hit. So COVID hadn't even hit yet, and so we were talking about. I was telling people how to get the religious exemptions on the Ankeny Moms site. I got kicked off the Ankeny Moms site for spreading misinformation. I got kicked off for being a bully. And I'm like, I'm not being a bully. I'm just telling you the truth. Which is such a lie.
They should tell you informed consent. Even these parents, they should be told there are religious exemptions. And we're not being told that. And so when I reached out to Kimberly, I'm like, you're totally right. Like, my child has a religious exemption. All 4 of mine do.
And mine did too. And all you have to do is print off the PDF on your state. Go to Google, type in religious exemption PDFs, your state, print it off, take it to your bank and have it notarized, turn it into your school nurse. And that's all you have to do. It's not a long process. You don't have to go through a church. You don't have to go through your doctor. You can do it on your own. And I didn't find that out by the school. I found that out by talking to other moms, because the school wasn't going to tell me.
Right.
And so I had no idea. I was just a stay-at-home mom doing mom things, you know?
That's even for the mask mandates too. A lot of the Ankeny parents did not know how to get a mask exemption. However, at this school board meeting, we kind of knew what was coming. We knew they would vote to put these masks back on our kids after this temporary injunction by Judge Robert Pratt, who was appointed by Bill Clinton. He's a crooked federal judge. So he stepped in. They put the mask back on our kids, but this time we were ready for them.
Yep.
And we knew that we could get these religious exemptions out to parents, because before that, 90% of the parents were choosing not to wear masks for their kids. So we just handed them out at the school board, right and left. We taught people how to fill them out, just like Kimberly just did. We said, look, state law, if you're not New York or you're not California, they have to abide by this. It is a medical procedure, masking is, right? Because a mask is a medical device. Therefore, putting on a mask is a medical procedure. So they have to accept these by law. And now we have over 10% of our whole entire schools unmasked.
We have 1,408.
I bet we have more now.
Yep.
I bet we have more by now.
That's why, guys, you want to find out more about these ladies, go to iramamabears.com. For those of you watching the video replay or watching live, you see it there on the bottom of the lower third of the screen. It's Ira, IOWA, Mama, MAMA, bears.com. But what you guys, it's amazing what you ladies have done. I mean, you've taken action And I always have to go back to, because I believe in the next 5 years, we're going to have the greatest, like I'm doing a show later tonight. I'm my own special guest about vax mandates will make capitalism great again. You're going to see the greatest entrepreneurs, the greatest business inventions and innovations from God's talents just manifest, because you're pushing people out of the comfort zone to manifest God's talent. So everything that the devil's trying to do, it's raising up the warriors. I mean, just look at the strength of you ladies. Now
it is, but not only us in Iowa now, John, we're having leaders step up. We had over 700 at the Capitol on October 28th. We put pressure on the legislators to get something written up to protect employees from their employers. And we got it done. Is it perfect? No. Is it a step in the right direction? Absolutely. It passed that day. I was sitting in subcommittee, and person after person got up and talked about the importance of putting forth legislation to protect these employees, because they were getting fired within days from these vaccine mandates. And so these other states need to get it done too. All we need is some leaders just to say, okay, God, I'm going to step into the role that you've given me, and I'm going to do something. And these other
what
leaders.
What does a leader mean to you? What does a leader mean to you when you say the word leader? When you say we need some leaders? I mean, you ladies have like a resume of leadership. You ran corporations. No, you're mama bears. I think people.
I mean, spirit. I mean, passion.
And I mean, just like standing up and
you got the sword of the spirit. You got the sword.
That's right.
Yep. Don't follow the crowd. Be who you are, regardless of what people think of you. You know how much me and Emily got smeared?
And death threats now.
Oh yeah, and death threats. Like you ain't doing something right unless you're getting death threats, I swear. But you know, we have made such a wave because now Joe Biden wants to look at parents as domestic terrorists because we're going against the school boards. Our God-given right to ask what's going on, what's being taught in our schools, is now getting looked at to domestic terrorists. I'm sorry, but I'm not a domestic terrorist. But I am one ticked off mama bear. And you mess with a ticked off mama bear, you're going to get the claws. And I'm not going to be silent until things change.
That's awesome. I tell you right now, that's going to be, we're going to pull that section right from the show and let it rip. Because that's what it's about. That's America. Because this is what we are conservatives. And a conservative is a person that stands firm in traditional values and refuses to compromise on those values for anyone or anything. Yeah, I mean, you guys, the messing with the clothes and you're getting the clothes and the Cubs. Now, this is exciting because once again, if everyone in the country did what they did, guys, get off Facebook. That's what I like about you ladies too. You're not that active on social media. You're actually active in social media. In your
community. I'm not great.
We got kicked off a lot, so we do try to. I mean,
but let me interject. What's good is
try to connect that way, but we don't.
But you guys are out in your local media. You're in your local community. Yeah. These people have to stop doing these Facebook wars, and people go, John, just change your narrative. Like, you know, when I was just interviewed on a radio show, it was on Mike Essen's show this afternoon, and Cub was called. I said, wow, that was the most controversial guest you had, but we loved him because we're speaking what people talk about. You know, people go, how do you get banned on YouTube? Talk about election fraud, election integrity, the election being stolen, talk about communism, talk about abortion, and talk about illegal alien, and talk about mask or face diapers and snot rags that causes diseases.
Yep. Yes, that's right. So or go to your school board meeting. I mean, they took down my school board meeting, like YouTube speech,
didn't they?
They banned it. Yes, they did. And all I was saying that was like, you know what? The people who were there, because they had people show up that were trying to be for masks. The Democrat side had about 40 plus people here. They all stood in a line. I ruined the decorum. I stood up in front of them. I had my mask off. I knew they were all going to wear white because that's at least one thing. They did listen to us. We said dress united.
Yeah.
And so they actually listened to us. So good job, you guys. But yeah, they all dressed in white. Well, I was going to hold the door open for them as they came into our school board meeting to vote whether we want a mask or not. Well, they weren't coming in. I was like, where is everybody? I'm like, where are the white mask people? And they're like, they're out standing by the road. So I actually had my camera in my hand and I walked out to them. And some lady was over in the corner. Can't remember her name. I'm sorry. I think it's Kelly.
Tina?
Maybe it's Coleman? Tina. Yeah. And she was over there praying over them and everything like that. And so I'm like, hey, can you hold this for me? And she's like, sure. And so what I did is that I took and ruined their photo op. So what they wanted to do is they called every news media outlet in Ankeny, in the Des Moines area, and they wanted to be front page. They had their signs, they had their masks, they were all standing in a row. So what I did is I went maskless with my white freedom over fear shirt and stood right in front of them, ruined their whole photo op. And so, but then like my speech that I gave that night, where I was calling out the school board members saying, you know what, you're wanting to mask our children, but yet you're not sitting there masked yourself. And then I also said the only reason that, like, if they looked out into the audience, they cut my mic on this part. When I said, look in the audience, 80% of the people here are unmasked, because they unmask come when something's wrong. The mask only come when they are summoned. So the masked people don't really show up for anything unless they are paid to or summoned by somebody saying, hey, we need some support, like the school board likes to do. So that's why the school board always asks, hey, what are you speaking about? Because then they want to counter it. And that's just wrong.
And this is now we're talking about local action and has national impact. And I want to ask all of you, because what we're going to share right now is you turned a mayor's seat, 2 city council, and 3 school board seats in your county where they mess with the Cub. Yep. This is Bears taking control.
The school board is huge, John, right now, because they're offering pedophilic material to our children. They're offering material that would make you vomit just speaking it out loud. And in fact, one brave parent did while we were down with General Flynn in Florida. She had the courage to stand up to the board and read this material out loud. It was absolutely disgusting. And it's normalizing sexual abuse of children. These people need to be held to account. And so with this overturning of the school board, they're paying attention now. And we believe we're going to have a better chance of getting this material out of the hands of children and teens, because it's disgusting.
But that's 3 school board seats. That means 3 people had to run, and then you had to run behind them and support them. Everyone pay attention. I like what Jeff Preston said. You love Jeff, the #1 illustrator in the Patriot movement. And Jeff said right here, he says, Mama Bears, the new American Special Forces. And as you know, Jeff, you may not know about Jeff, but Jeff's a Navy veteran. And Jeff actually he was going to become a Navy SEAL. He actually made it to a Hell Week. Wow. So he understands special forces. And Jeff will be at our event January 7th, January 8th here in beautiful Naples, Florida. And Jeff's going to be a guest next week in our show, talking about his Hell Week experience, Jeff. Right. But they are the special forces. I mean, you mess with a mama bear. I get so excited. That's why as soon as I saw this, I said to Christy, we got to reach out to the ladies, have them on the show, because so 3 people. Tell me about the 3 people that ran the school board. Tell me who they are and how they chose to be. I'm sure you inspired them, motivated them to act, right?
Absolutely.
So the 3 members are Joy Burke. She's an active member in the Ankeny community and has been for many years. And then Trent Murphy, who's a businessman. And in fact, sadly, our condolences go out to Trent and sympathies. He lost his wife. And some Democrat operatives even had no soul and went after him in that. Which is horrible. And then the last member is Sarah Barthel, who is a former teacher and has 2 young boys. And we ran them. They had a great campaign manager named Lydia. And we kind of talked and made sure that we had a game plan, because we knew that they would be the #1 target having anything to do with us. I mean, anyone in Iowa that's a political figure, they're going after them if they have anything to do with us. So what we did is we worked in the background.
And I got to interject, and because you ladies, you're awesome. You have so much content. You would, because some of this, I've been in this for years, and you ladies made a decision for your family. This is American. I'm so proud of your story. I'm so proud of what you do for the love for the traditional values in your kids. So anyone that's in politics go after you. And let that sink in a little bit. You are now a high value target, as Jeff will tell you. HVT and Navy SEALs, you're a high value target, a terrorist. You're in their minds. You're terrorizing them because you're disrupting their communist Marxist play here in Iowa. I mean, anybody in the state of Iowa that's in politics, you are on their radar. I'm so proud of you.
We're proud to be on the radar, because that means we're doing something right.
That's right.
You know what? No, we're not going to stop. They can threaten us. They can do whatever they want. But you know what? The more you threaten me, the louder I'm going to get. I'm not going to back down to anything that they say or do, because you know what? We have everything to lose. I have nothing to gain except we have to keep our freedoms.
That's right.
And I want my kids and their kids to grow up in the same country I did, free to make a choice, free to move around as they will. And if we do not stand up now, that's not going to happen. And
your husband your husband John is awesome. He's been in the military how many years?
17
years. Tremendous.
Yep.
He's the one that does the set. He's the producer. He does all the flags and all the
He's
sets.
amazing.
He does a great job.
He's
We
awesome.
couldn't do it without John.
But like everybody, like all the other military personnel, his job is at risk too, because he's not wanting to take the shot.
Right.
You know, and that's another thing we're still working on, is trying to get medical freedom for everybody in the U.S. Of course, we're starting here in Iowa locally. We went and had a meeting with our state senate, Jack Whitfer. Sorry, I can't say his name. And where we talked about everything for about 2 hours. And then I flat out told him, I'm like, you are gonna be the leader, because he's like, well, we got to kind of look back and see what Texas is doing. Let's look to see what Florida's doing. I'm like, no, we're not watching other states. We are going to be first, and I'm going to push you to be first, because if you're not going to be pushed to be first, then I'm going to move you out of the way, and I'm going to take over, and I'm going to be right there in your seat.
Good.
Because I will make sure we get this done, because this is not happening. We are going to lead the way. And states can follow us if they want. We don't need to be the followers.
He's the Senate Majority Leader, and he's exposing himself because he was one of the main sources to get this blocked. So this legislation, these bills, people came up with even better bills before this, but he kept stalling them, him and Pat Grassley. So what I believe the whole plan is with Grassley getting in there to the U.S. Senate, right? He'll step down and he'll put his grandson in there.
Chuck's got to go.
We need to say Chuck's got to go. That's why
Jim Carlin,
U.S. Senate, right here, 100% patriot, God-fearing, country-loving man.
And he's got the heartbeat bill passed here in Iowa.
Yes, he did.
He also got the training for
active shooters
in school.
That's good. That's real good.
And then there's one more. Oh, and then he put the tax.
He got the first bill. Actually, he wrote the first bill that they shot down, SF 555. So that was a complete vaccine mandate ban for employees. For that to be mandated upon them, and they all shot that down. The Senate majority shot that down because they don't like anti-establishment candidates, and that's what Jim is.
And Jim's not afraid to get out there and speak the truth.
That's right.
Anyway.
That's right. He was the only one that voted against the first vaccine passport bill as a senator. The only senator in Iowa. He said, no, this is trash.
And that's why when you guys, everyone listening, all the listeners, and I want to thank the tens of thousands of you that listen to this on all of our audio podcast platforms. I want to thank our iHeartRadio listeners. You guys, we're trending. And for all the trolls, I just want to show this, because some of the trolls go, well, there's no one live on your shows I can see on Facebook. Yeah, because we're banned on Facebook, you idiot. You're
not doing it right unless you're banned on Facebook.
Oh yeah, man, I'm massively banned and censored on Facebook. I just want to show just for the trolls here. You'll see where it says right there. It says 1%. It's circled in red. Conservative Business Journal podcast.
There you go.
That is amazing.
Great job.
Thank you very much. Of 2.7 million podcasts. Because I've been in this game. I spoke this past weekend in Maryland. Liz Harrington, who used to be the RNC national spokesperson.
I like her.
Liz is all in. She should be back on my show here shortly. I interviewed her back July 2020, 18 months ago. I had Liz on my show. So for all of you listening, we ain't backing down. The mama bears ain't backing down. We ain't backing down. We ain't cowering. I want everyone to realize that's when, because people go, how did you get 1%? Consistency and commitment. When you're consistent and committed, which you ladies are consistent and committed, and you just started now, 3 school boards. So what did you do? Like you said, you worked their campaign. Let's talk about what you do locally for the 3 school boards. Then you got 2 city council, and you got the mayor.
Yeah. Really, a lot of what we did is we were active at the school boards. Almost every single school board meeting, we were there, and we were exposing them. We were bringing to light what they were doing in the dark. And then we were working with the campaign managers. And once we understood that we were a big target and they couldn't directly associate with us, then we worked in the background. So all of our followers, which is all over Iowa, we let them know that this is a very, very important race. And they ran as a trifecta, meaning you don't deviate from the 3. They ran as a group, like a unit and do not deviate, because then you're going to split the vote. So everyone out there, if you're going to be active in your city or your town, you need to form whatever number you need to flip the balance of your board. You need to run them together. Yes. Do not separate them in any way. They're all together. And if one goes against another, no. We all need to be unified, because a house divided is going to fall. So you got to be unified when you go in.
I got to say that's huge, because that's the problem you have in Florida, right, Christy? There's 9,000 candidates running for one position, all trying to get money from all these different PACs. Oh. That's the problem in Florida. All my Florida listeners, you know that. I'm speaking to guys next Tuesday. I'm speaking to one of my favorite groups, the Trumpsters Tuesday Therapy Group. We'll be live there, and then I'm speaking at the Kings Point Republican Club next Wednesday night down in Broward. And I discuss what you ladies just stated, and I will take this section and edit it and show it, because what you united.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
this is America. I mean, this what you did. As I'm circling what the notes from tonight for the show. I mean, how about the mayor? So how did the mayor, tell us about? And this is the first time in decades you guys have red, right? The red wave.
It was incredible. Yes. The mayor won by 20 points.
Awesome.
So his opponent didn't even show up at the forum. So we made darn sure everyone knew that he didn't even show up. And in fact, the city council members, they'd rather campaign nationally for Mr. Who is the Asian man that ran on the Democrat side? Andrew Yang. They made sure they showed up for Andrew Yang's event instead of listening to constituents in Ankeny. They'd rather do that. So we just keep exposing what they're doing, awesome. Dark to light.
And they're all about money. That's all they are. And like, I know that money is important to run in a race, but it can't be your sole purpose, because if it is, you're going to lose. I mean, Democrats, they just said on the news the other night, they put tens of thousands of dollars into their campaigns and they lost. Why? Because they're more worried about the money than the people. We want people in there who are worried about us and saving our rights than how much money they're going to get if they get into this position. Because if you're worried about the money, we're going to get you out, because that's what we're not here about. We're here about freedom and to keep our country safe from everybody else trying to infiltrate it, like China, and that's what I say about the jab. I think it's a way to break us down, because I believe so hardly that, all these healthcare workers who are quitting, all the military personnel who are getting kicked out, all the police officers who are getting bashed, they're getting pushed out for a reason. It's because China wants to infiltrate us, and they want to come in and they want to overtake us. And if they easily can, if that happens, if you kick all the conservatives out, because I won't say all conservatives who are not taking the jab, but the majority of them are, you're not going to have anything left. You're not going to have a cop to call if somebody breaks into your house. You're not going to have somebody to help you at the hospital if that person does break into your house and, God forbid, shoots you or stabs you. You're not going to have anybody at the hospital. And then who are you going to call when the town is running crazy? You can't call the National Guard. You can't call the Army, because they're dwindled down to nothing. And then we're easily going to get taken over. So we have to stop this at the local levels. You have to get involved. You have to gut out. And like I said to Emily, we're two stay-at-home moms who had nothing to lose except the freedom that our children were going to lose if we didn't stand up.
We also need to get precinct committee chairmen. There's too many chairs right now for the Republican Party that are open, way too many, and they control a lot of the local action. So if you can go to your county committee meetings and get involved and be a precinct committee chair, that's what.
And a lot of times you
can get active.
Yeah, and a lot of times you can get into those positions because there's not very many people, if any, running for them at all. That's why they're so open. And honestly, I thought about doing it myself, but I'm not a political person, so I don't really know that ins and outs. And I'm sure God will put me in that position.
But that's what you don't have to be a political person. You have to be someone who loves America and conservative. That's why, as you guys have heard, my listeners have heard with Professor Toto, the TAPS America program we're putting together. I want to talk more with you guys on that.
Oh, we'd love Carlin to get in there on that TAPS program. We were talking to Brad Barton a little bit about that.
I'm already donating.
And, I'm gonna. I'm getting on board too. Absolutely.
And that's why you guys.
It's we the people that are going to take our country back. It's not these politicians. It's not someone entering in. It's we the people.
And that's why you guys can hear about it. Make sure you guys visit tapsamerica.com, tapsamerica.com. You'll see the program. And then when you see it, obviously you heard about it. You see my name on there as one of the podcasters. And it's so important because what you do not know is we're going to really turn the focus to school boards. That's awesome. Because you don't need a lot of money to run a school board. But what these 3 school board people, they don't need to raise $100,000 to do a school board.
Right.
They need to be active. And so tell everyone right now, what was the mood and the mode now? How freaked out is the left and the communists? Because like what you just said, it's a communist attack to destroy this country. There's no, the vax mandates is a joke. I mean, but you guys, go ahead, share.
They're acting like it's not that big of a deal. Like,
oh,
well, it's not exactly the way we wanted it to turn out. And so my response is not going to stoop as low as they are. Like in my flesh, I want to be like, yeah, in your face. But I'm not going to do that. Like God's going to get his vindication. And these people, I pray their hearts turn. I pray they see the evil they're perpetuating on these children and turn. This school board shouldn't be political. It's looking out for the best interest of children. I mean, teaching these indoctrination materials, that should not be political. I mean, it should not be political. And the first time, we're just a thorn in their side. For the first time, they're being opposed and they don't like it.
Nope.
And that's right.
They smeared us all the way up through this. And then the night of the election, when it didn't go their way, they're like, oh, now congratulations. If there's anything we can do to help you, we would really like to work with you. No, like I'm not working with some communist who's now ticked off because we just won. And now you want to come in and try to infiltrate? No, honey. No, that's not how we work. We're not hypocrites. We stand for what we believe in, no matter what it is. We don't flip back and forth and say, oh, now you, and let me go over here and try to butter you up. No, you're not kissing you're not kissing my rear end for that. Get out.
And that's big problem, big opportunity. Big problem, big opportunity. And it is so important. You ladies are changing the country. I mean, and I say this because I see so many people who do nothing. That's right. They're not active. And all of you in Florida, when there's 60, there was like 18 people running for one position here in Florida. I'm like, and they're like, John, put your show. No, because you're not going to win. And all you're doing is dividing the vote. You know, what you said earlier is get behind, pick who you're going to pick and get behind them and focus.
Yeah. Leaders are humble too.
That's right.
Like we need to stand on, the Lord. I mean, really, we have to know where our foundation comes from. That's where mine comes from. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I know that's why Kim's doing what she's doing, because the Lord has raised us up for such a time as this. And who are we to say no? I can't face my children if I sat back and did nothing. And I know there's so many of you out there. If you're listening to John's show, you obviously have the discernment to know what's going on. You absolutely do. So we have no excuse. We just pray and put one foot in front of the next and say, okay, God, what do you want me to do now? Give me wisdom, give me discernment, give me the strength to act in your power, not my own. Because I can't do what I've been asked to do on my own.
And I just also want to add to that is that you, as a parent, as a grandparent, as an auntie, uncle, you don't have to have a big name behind you to do and make a difference. Emily and I have stay-at-home mom title. That's what we did. We don't have a political background. We don't have political background. I don't have a degree in law. I don't have.
You got 7. You got 7 kids, right?
Yeah.
Emily?
No, Kimberly does. I have 4.
Sorry,
I only have 4.
So you got 4, and she has 7. That's 11. You mess with those Cubs, it's over.
Yeah.
John,
here's my wife, Christy wants to
interject a second because we rarely go for the trolls. We kind of just delete their comments, but I know you ladies get really fired up. So we have a troll. We have a troll on wondering if you, this is what you're doing now, which is great, but wondering if you were part of the group of women that wore the pink vagina hats and protested against Trump.
Pink vagina hats.
No,
I
would never wear vagina on my head.
Why would we do that? Like, I didn't even know about it until you just said that.
They're trying to say basically that you're just doing this, for the limelight, and basically you weren't conservatives prior to this. So,
I'm 1,000%.
You can go back on my Facebook page and look.
Fire them up.
I've been conservative for a very long time. I actually have the Trump 2016 shirt that I wore when I
yeah.
went to the polls. I wore a
Yep.
Trump 2020 or the Trump shirt as I was writing it down. I had no idea you weren't even allowed to do that. Like,
And I was on my knees praying that night because I knew that it was one of the biggest elections in history.
and honestly, at the time, the only reason I even voted for Trump at that time, I didn't know really nothing about him. The only reason I voted for him is because I thought he was an asshole like me. To be quite frank, is like I liked the way he was just blunt and to the point. He didn't sugarcoat anything to try to be nice to anybody. He's just like, this is how it is, and that's how I am. I will tell you straight up, you never have to worry about if I am like mad at you, if I don't like you, because I'll flat out say it to your face. And that's exactly what Trump did. And I remember him coming out and saying stuff like that all the time. And I'm like, I like this guy. Like, he's not sugarcoating it like everybody else. Is like, correct. Yes.
And he's not paid off too. And I said this on my show last night. I had Dr. Krista on, and she unpacked. She's been on numerous times. She wrote a book 3.5 years ago, The 8 Secrets That Will Destroy the Pharmaceutical Companies. So you've been in this game for years against Big Pharma. And I'll say this, and I want to thank all of our sponsors and supporters, because 80% of the ads on Fox are prescription companies, are big pharma companies.
Yep, they are.
Yep.
So for conservatives, because this is rising up, the big problem is so many voices. You ladies stand for something and you're not compromising, and that's when you look at this, for all of you, and for the idiot troll that was on there, which is good. When we get trolls on, because we're so sensitive when we go live, we get trolls on. It's great because that means the bots are picking it up. Is because these ladies are committed. They turned this to me. I'll be very direct about this, and this you won't hear this on most of the conservative shows. This to me is bigger than Virginia.
Wow.
Because that Virginia governor, he's awesome, Youngkin. He's tremendous. That's going to be unique in Virginia with some other positions, but you're getting into the local market.
Yeah.
This is, I always say, home, city, county, state, America.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And we're trying to work on all fronts. Like, we are trying to work with some great leaders here in Iowa, but we also know that there are some politicians here that are compromised. So for example, with the vaccine mandate, that's going out on employees, some of them are sold out to the special interests and being given donations from those businesses that want to mandate the vaccine. Grassley, Whitver. We looked at their charts. We see how much money they're getting for their campaigns from these business organizations and associations, and it's not serving we the people. And we're going to continue to call them out for it. Yet
Grassley is exempt from any vaccine mandate.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Sure is.
Well,
but you know what?
Chuck's got to go.
He's got to go. We got to get.
Got to go.
Chuck's got to go.
Chuck's got to
go.
Chuck's got to go.
Real quick, I want to do a 60-second station commercial break, and then we'll bring back and we'll recap and summarize the show. Tremendous. Here we go. ConservativeMarketplace.com. Real quick.
Oh,
so guys, once again, thank you so much for all of you that are supporting the CBJ Real News podcast show and the Conservative Business Journal through the ConservativeMarketplace.com, which would have not come about if we were not censored, banned, and shut down. 5,000 videos on YouTube, 2 million subscribers, shut down for life. And I just want to throw a huge shout out to all of you, all the patriots. And I just want to share a few of the items that moved today on ConservativeMarketplace.com. Visit it, support it. Teresa, you ladies will love this. Teresa out of California just placed an order today for a Let's Go Brandon hat on ConservativeMarketplace.com. And then we have Steve from Missouri ordered a Fate Stands in Fear on Men's t-shirt. And Jill from the Virgin Islands just ordered some of the NAC, some of Dr. Chris's recommended supplements, the quercetin.
That's great.
And then don't blame me. I voted for Trump, which is our top seller hat. Dawn from Pennsylvania. Boy, that state was stolen last year. And then I want to congratulate Marisol. This is her 7th order on a conservative marketplace. She's awesome. She ordered a Fate Stands in Fear on iPhone case. 2 of those, as a matter of fact. And then Cindy from Texas ordered one of Dr. Chris's books. And Cynthia from Michigan ordered one of Dr. Chris's books. And Ruth, we had Dr. Chris on my show last night. And Ruth ordered one of Dr. Chris's books. And Ola from Montana ordered some of the NAC, Dr. Chris's supplements. And Linda from Florida ordered one of Chris's books. And Kathy from Texas ordered 4 of Dr. Chris's books. And then Ben from, I don't know if Ben's at, Ben is from, I just went off the page there. Ben's from Florida. He ordered 2 of the quercetin and 2 of the NAC. And Anne from Illinois ordered one of Dr. Chris's books. So Google and YouTube, take that. The conservatives are supporting to conservativemarketplace.com. And I tell everybody, big problem, big opportunity. Conservativemarketplace.com is the communists' biggest threat, because there's 28 vendors. We're growing every day. We have Professor Total's children's books on there now. We have so many items. And I want to thank all of you supporting us. So, guys, this is what it's about. I look at these ladies. I look at Kimberly and Emily a year ago, just taking care of 11 kids between 2 of them, not knowing each other. But God knew they were going to get lined up. Yeah. And it is so powerful. And I want to say it again. I believe this to me, obviously Virginia's huge, but this is very powerful because it's the local level.
Local action has national impact.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's why you can learn more about it. And your website looks awesome. I know
Thank you.
You guys did a great job.
Thanks to John and Colton with Clever Conservatives. My husband, but we call them baby cakes.
Oh, baby cakes.
Baby cakes.
Baby cakes is awesome. So make sure you visit IraMamaBears.com. Support them. They got the awesome shirts, Freedom Over Fear. Support them, promote them. So I want to ask you, ladies, once again, let's talk about, when we're in the final few minutes here, talk about the grassroots campaign. Talk about what you did going into this race and what you did like on a daily basis. You flipped, 6 seats in the mayor, and the first time in how many years is now your county red?
I've never seen that many seats before. I've been here since 2005. I've been here, so that's 16 years. So I'm not really sure because I wasn't as active as I am now. Right. But I don't remember this much hope and this much enthusiasm. Do you know, John? Here's a statistic for you. In the last election for local level, Ankeny, for the school boards, we had about 2,000 people voting. This year, we had, I think it was at least 20 times that.
Wow.
It was incredible. It was. Alone, let's see, the 3 candidates alone got 18,000 apiece. And then the third 17,900. And then you have the Democrat 8, side.
8 and 7,000.
It's 8.
Yeah. 8,000. There was 8,000 for, I have it all written down. 8,000 and some odd for Joy and Trent, and 7,000 for Sarah. So, that's still pretty close to 20,000. Almost
20,000 votes total. Yeah.
And that's local action. And all they did was mess with a couple Cubs.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I know by 9 a.m. they surpassed the amount that they had the previous year for.
And we did get a little nervous because there was a little bit of voter fraud going on.
Yes, there was.
In Ankeny. There was a police officer that went into one of the polls to vote and was told he had already voted. Mm-hmm. And so he put out a thing in the Facebook and messages saying, hey, this is what just happened. So they tried. I think they tried, But you know what? They can't. Liars are always exposed. The truth will always.
That's right.
That's right.
And they can, and then ladies, they can follow you on Telegram. Just please give out your Telegram channel.
Yep.
I believe it's Iowa Mama Bears.
It's linked in our Facebook as well. Or not Facebook.
It's linked on our Iowa
website.
Mama Bears website.
It's awesome. And which is awesome is if you notice, and I asked you that for a reason, going back to it, I want you guys to realize what they're doing is real social media. They're out there in an active market, local community. That's what you have to do. Local action has national impact. And General Flynn, as you know, General Flynn's a great friend of ours. You obviously know him very well. He's been on my show. I've spoken to many events with him. Local event. I mean, local action. This is what it's all about. And I agree with you. This is Lorraine from Texas, says the Iowa Mama Bears rock. Congratulations for all their hard work.
Thank you.
11 kids mess with the cub.
I believe it's just Iowa Mama Bears, and we
On
do have the
Telegram.
link on our website.
Okay, good.
And I just want to encourage everybody out there to please get involved. Go to your school board meetings. I've never went to one my entire life, and March 22nd was my very first one.
Amazing.
Scared crapless, let me tell you. But you know what? Go there. Even if you don't speak, be a listening ear, a watchful eye. If you see or hear something you don't like, speak up. Then repeat it until they make a difference. You know, that's what we plan on doing with this child pornography stuff that they're bringing into our schools. We're going to read a passage every single week, every single board meeting that they have. I will read a part of that book until they take them out of our schools. And then I'll show the pictures. They show graphic pictures.
It's a graphic
of
novel,
what's going
like a
on.
comic book.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, everyone listening, this is America. The reason why you don't hear this on most politicians, even most conservative voices, they're afraid of the money being censored and shared. You mentioned pornography, and you mentioned election fraud on YouTube. You get banned. I don't speak in code. I'm not going to spell FARFAUD. I mean, I'm not going to. It's amazing. But all of you, you're now a big threat, and you've won. And now you're going to have more people. Like I did a video. We were flying back from Maryland this week, and I did a video going through the airport. So I just wear my mask through TSA like that. Then I eat most of the time or hang up from my ear.
Yeah,
like,
we do.
I did a video. I said, imagine if everybody just took off their mask who voted for Trump.
Yeah.
People
need to do that.
I mean, everybody got to stand up. I mean, we the people.
Nationwide strike is November 8th through the 11th.
That's right.
Please join us with Lee Dundas and the frontline doctors and everybody across America. If you are in the healthcare, military, police officer,
blue collar, white collar job,
whatever, it doesn't matter. If you are being forced to do something against your will, please join us in this strike.
Yep.
From November 8th
you'll see. We're on there with Lay. You'll see Conservative Business Journal. It's you said Vax the Axe. You're awesome. It's Axe the Vax. Did I said Vax the Axe? I meant backwards. My apologies. I said it backwards.
Axe the Vax.
Hashtag, because I know I shared them. You'll see it on my Telegram channel yesterday. It's hashtag Axe the Vax, and I'm gonna connect and have Lay done this on my show to lay it all out. So it's so important, guys, because there's more of us than them. Which you ladies,
exactly
I'm
right.
so proud of you.
And now we're not silent.
Nope.
And they don't. And the other side doesn't like it. I mean, honestly.
You want to tell them about Mama Bear Mondays?
Yeah, Mama Bear Mondays. Every Monday at 8 p.m. we have a new podcast on.
Awesome.
We've had a number of different people on, from Jim Carlin, who's running for U.S. Senate right here, to a woman whose 2 family members died at the hands of the doctors and given remdesivir and dexamethasone, which is a death sentence, and put on a BiPAP and then put on the ventilator and gone. And soon we'll have another survivor because his wife snuck him in ivermectin. And now they're going to be running an underground boots on the ground nurses coalition to get people the help they need and to tell the protocol that saved his life. We'd love to put you in contact with her.
Oh, absolutely. We'd love to have her on our show. Absolutely. And that's about conservative values. And they should talk about making capitalism great again in America. They're pushing everybody to make, because what your capital is your love for your children. Yeah. That's the capital is an asset that produces results. Your love for your 11 cubs has now God, that big problem you went through with your daughters. And I can relate to your daughter because I went to speech class for 14 years of my life. As you get to know my
Wow,
story
John,
better,
I would never have known that.
I was a clinically diagnosed stutterer and stammerer. Couldn't say my name. I had braces for 7 years. I went to New York School for the deaf. I mean,
Wow.
so you look at all the people for lip reading, they just
Yeah.
destroyed communication. I mean,
Yeah.
they
Yes,
they
destroyed
do.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just.
And I mean, if they don't have a sensory process order disorder like that, look at my daughter. I mean,
yeah.
they mentally scarred her. I mean,
Oh, it's horrible.
she still doesn't like to be around very many people because she's afraid of giving them COVID. She's like, I don't want to get them sick. And I'm like, Olivia, you're okay. I mean, she still has to go to the counseling. We got it down to once a month, but I mean, we were every week when she was in school last year. And
Timing is
it's
in the
just one of
trouble.
those things like that. If we don't take care of our cubs, nobody will, because
That's right.
all they see on our kids' head is a dollar sign. And
That's
my kids is not for their sale. They're not political pawns either.
We really encourage you also to get active in this 8th Circuit Court of Appeals case.
Yes.
Iowa has been targeted on purpose because we were the only state that had a mask ban signed into law. And so what they're doing is they put forth a temporary injunction, right? And then now the judge says, well, now it needs to go to the 8th Circuit. So there's 3 judges that are going to rule on this case. And it's huge because this is unconstitutional. Our law should stand, but they're putting all this pressure on these judges, in order to get this law tossed out. And we're hoping to get to the steps of that court.
Oh, you will.
Mid-November
Yeah,
with
we
Moms
will.
for America. And
You
General
will.
Flynn has
Teaming
agreed to
up with-
sponsor the event. So if you can get, we'll give you more details to
Oh, yeah.
come. Mid-November.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll share it. You ladies are awesome. Once again, guys, make sure you visit iowamamabears.com. Let me put that up there real quick on the, or is it here? Let's see. Here it is. Oh. Make sure you guys visit iowamamabears.com. I've seen the improvement of your website. It's tremendous. And make sure you follow and share all of them, share all that they do. They are America. They are America. They have a more impact than 99% of politicians because they're not paid off. The love for the country, love for the children, love for conservative values, what we stand for.
That's
so
right.
we're excited about it. Christy, any final words for the awesome? So guys, thank you very much for sharing, following. As all of you guys know, we're on every podcast platform. So just go to your smartphone, wherever you listen to podcasts, just download the Conservative Business Journal podcast. And there's a search feature, and the Mama Bears, this is episode number 2. You search under Mama, M-A-M-A, it will come up. Share it, listen to it, and make sure you visit our main website, conservativebusinessjournal.com. Submit your email for our real news updates. And you guys know writers, we're actually running another ad now. We're hiring 3 more writers to write for all of our articles and
That's great.
contributors. And we're getting the real news out. CNN's a big problem. Conservative Business Journal solves that problem. Masks is a big problem. Iowa is a state to watch, guys. This is a state to watch coming out of 2 crazy mamas, which is awesome. Yep. So, guys, with that said, good night. God bless you. And once again, follow us on Rumble at our channel, CBJ Real News, and Telegram at CBJ Real News. Good night, Kimberly. Good night, Emily. And say awesome.
Thank you, John.
Your awesome husband, John, and all your 11 cubs. Good night, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.